everyone, I'm Oracle Oriah and this is Cosmic Coffee. I'm here with the very special Alastair from the UK and I'm from the US, and today we're bringing you another hot steaming coffee, Cosmic Coffee. And today's topic is kind of a, to some people it could be a trigger topic, but to other people it can be very freeing. But we're going to be talking about how to change your belief to a better feeling belief, like core beliefs, so you can have a higher vibrational and more holistic experience in life. And you are not going to have to constantly battle suffering, stories that create suffering, and then, you know, create this hamster wheel effect that you can just never get out of. So we kind of want to put our hand in the hamster wheel, stop the hamster wheel and say, wait, have everybody, let's just take a moment and let's assess and evaluate our core beliefs, our choices that we're making, our beliefs that we're making. So the personal story I have, it's not one particular event, but it's many, many events that I can look at as an overview of my life, where when I was looking for better feeling beliefs, I started to realize that creation itself means that you are creating beliefs. So how can I say that? As I was learning creation, I was understanding my self-creation. So then, therefore, I'm understanding that I am creating my own beliefs. So as I ventured down this road, I started to see, obviously, beliefs that didn't feel good. So those beliefs could be everything from we live on a prison planet to reptilian agenda to anything, you name it. Whatever the belief is that doesn't feel good, I started to see it more and more. And I was like, wow, I have a lot of beliefs that don't feel good. So then I said, well, do I have a choice really? And this is where a lot of people get stuck, is they don't think they have a choice in changing their beliefs. So you read something, you hear something, you go down rabbit hole after rabbit hole after rabbit hole, and you start to think, oh yes, that's what it is. Oh yes, that's what it is. So what I decided to do is I wanted to do an investigation of what it would look like if I navigated through a myriad of beliefs, like possibilities, things that could possibly be the truth as to why we are here, what is, what is our purpose, why are we stuck on the planet? Like, is that a question? Also, is there outside forces? Is anybody doing anything? Then, is this a hologram? Are we in a VR game? What's going on, right? So these conversations are kind of running rampant right now on the web in many ways. Some people call it conspiracy. Some people call it spiritual. Some people call it awakening. Some people, there's so many names for this. So I'm just going to leave it nameless. It doesn't really have a name. All it is that we are investigating the different forms of creation. So if you understand creation, the context of creation, you'll see that it's vast. How can it not be? Because the name itself has no beginning or no end. So the word creation is an eternal concept because it's constantly, it is in motion as it is, in action. It's in motion and in action as it's evolving. How do you explain creation? Like there's no pro person that can come here and talk about creation. It's impossible. But what I would like to say is self-creation is when you decide what type of beliefs you want to have. So here's what I did. This is my personal, it's kind of like a personal overview story. What I did was this. I started off with religion. So I was a Christian. And then I broke through that through a series of events, understanding that this is just another formula, another story. I started to understand religion in itself, just the context of religion and why it exists. Went through the education on that. Then I went into all the different ways that you can live on the planet. So you could either be focused only on holistic spiritual things or just corporate or academia, like you could just be tunnel vision, sports, athletics. There's so many ways that you can develop yourself. And inside of that, there's a series of beliefs that go with that choice. So if you're an athlete, you have a lot of core beliefs that match what athletes think. Where you go talk to a holistic spiritual person who is off the grid and they live in a yurt in the mountains and they have their own running water and things like that, they may not have the same beliefs as an athlete. They may have different beliefs. So we all have different beliefs on this planet. That's something I think we all already can agree upon. But in my case, what I wanted to do is I wanted to see what happens if you go past the point of species, of aliens, of agendas, of outside forces, others, somebody outside of you doing something to you. I wanted to go past that to see, is there anything else beyond that? Because if we're talking creation, that means endless. And if you know how many planets we have and suns and solar systems and galaxies in our giant cosmic universe, and no one knows what this universe is. So since we have limited data, all we could do is play within the parameters. So the parameters are this: we have law of one, that's a choice. You believe we're one or not. We're having a unified experience. You believe that or you don't believe that. That's a choice. You also believe in separation or not separation. I'm different than you, therefore I am not you, therefore you're over there, therefore we're not on the same team. That's also a choice. That's called the belief of separation. So as I was navigating through these waters, I realized, whoa, this is endless. This is endless. So let me see how far I can go. So I started going past the angelic realm, which is kind of like your past species. So you're into like energy, orbs, you're into energy essence, personality essence. There's no physical form, no humanoid, no creature, no alien. You're in energy only, energy consciousness. In my meditations and my plant medicine journeys, this is where I went. I wanted to see what happens if you keep on going. So what I started noticing is it gets quieter and quieter at the top, I guess you could say, kind of like climbing Mount Everest. It gets probably quieter at the top of the mountain. So as you start to go through these portals of understanding and you keep going, it gets quieter because you go into this kind of like singularity. You really go into this very quiet creation place where it's just you speaking your truth. Now, if your truth is you're a healer, that's your truth. If your truth is you're a loser, that's your truth. If your truth is you're an angel, that's your truth. If your truth is you're here to communicate to the world, that's your truth. If your truth is I'm here to be a victim, that's your truth. So what does that mean? So truth in and of itself is your belief. What people don't realize is they have choice here. And so it's not that you choose to be a victim in that, or you don't choose to be a victim and then you realize, you wake up one day and go, oh my God, how did I become a victim? I need to choose something else. It's more that you chose a path to understand victimhood so that you can transcend it in your self-realization and move through it. So if that's the case, what about if I decided, me, Oriah, I decide I'm a healer. I'm past my trauma, I'm past my victimization, I'm past my stories of suffering, and now what I want to do is I want to play in a bigger arena. So let's say I'm an alien now. So I went into, okay, I'm Palladian. I'm Palladian. I'm just Palladian. Why? Because I am. I can prove it. I could show you many different ways that I know that I'm Palladian. Now, on top of that, I also realized that in and of itself is a limitation. And this is where people don't want to go any further. People don't want to talk about this. They get upset. They don't like that you can go past material constructs. Who am I, humanoid Oriah with flesh and bone? Who am I to have the audacity to go past species? But there's many brave souls out there who have, for many decades, gurus, teachers, psilocybin journey people, LSD people, DMT, you go on and on and on. There's so many different types of people who have said, let's get past material constructs. Let's see what happens if you just go into energy. What's wrong with that? Nothing. So I did. I went into energy, and what I discovered is that it's neutral. So energy is just the playground in which you create your stories. So energy gives rise to what you're going to make. So it's the fuel. So energy is neutral, which is great. It's great for everybody. Who doesn't want a neutral energy source that just is available and you can play with it? So I said to myself, well, if that's the case, let me see what happens if I decide that I'm a goddess. So I played goddess for a while. And then guess what happened? I got bored because too many other women were playing goddess and everyone is in competition over who's the most biggest goddess on the planet. So then I decided that's too human. So let me go into spiritual guru. So I did that. And then I found out that there are cliques and sects, S-E-C-T-S, of people that get together to play this type of game called guru. And they all have their way and their following. You can play it or not play it. Now, if you're following along so far here at this juncture, this is, if you haven't been already triggered, congratulations, but this is a trigger right here for most people. Because they say, wait a minute, you're not allowed to talk like that about gurus. Who are you? And then I say, are you judging me as a creator that I'm not allowed to go past constructs? I'm not allowed to go past human experience. I'm not allowed to go past understanding patterns. I'm not allowed to go past creating scenarios and environments. So what, I have to stay trapped in what, for what reason? I have to stay trapped in an environment? Why? I'm not subjected to the political environment. I'm not subjected to any environment I don't want to be subjected to. So my question was, why is it so touchy to talk about whether you want to bypass being a guru and keep going and see what else is there? Why is that such a thing? But then I found a group of people around the world that were doing the same thing. They passed guru. That means all the gurus on the world that call themselves gurus in every single way with the robes and this and that and all the others, you know, the stuff. There's more. So after that, there's people that go into it. Now they call themselves metaphysicians. So I said, well, I guess that's what I am. I'm going to play metaphysician. So metaphysician means you're very in tune to interdimensional lifestyle. That means you can interplay in interdimensional ways. You can play in your dream state. You can play in your waking state. You can combine the two. You can blend worlds. You can use plant medicine journeys. You can start going in between different dimensions, right? So there's a lot of people that do that for centuries, by the way, and they have written books on it. So this is not new technology and such a strange concept. So these people who are metaphysicians, or you can call them wisdom teachers, once they got here, they realized being a human being is a choice because you have freedom of your imagination, freedom of your mind, freedom of who you want to be. So we already understand that. So if that's the case, we're not subjected to any constructs, so we can navigate easier. It's like being on the other side when you cross over, when you die, but you're still here as a human being. So I did that. So I was a metaphysician. I was known as a metaphysician. People came to see me as a metaphysician. I worked with them as a metaphysician. Some people called me a healer. They said that, you know, I'm helping them reconfigure and, you know, reorganize their cellular system, the programming that they do, how they choose beliefs, etc. So that was great. I really enjoyed being a metaphysician. As you can see, I stayed there a little bit longer until I said, what's next? Because I'm a curious, sentient being. So I want to know how much freedom I have. And isn't that the core instinctive quality we all share, is we want to kind of know what else is next. So I said, what happens after metaphysician? Well, then you got to go off planet. So now you can go into alien, hybrid alien. You can stay in the humanoid, flesh and bone. You can go into creature. You can jump right to the angelic realm. You can go into sainthood if that's what you believe. So there's a whole series of things that you can go into. So I started to look at my choices to see, well, what do I feel the most compelled? So at one point I decided, let me try being a straight up alien. So not knowing where I'm coming from, like what planet I'm from or anything, just go into my sentient self with no identity, no Oriah. I'm just gonna be an alien. And you know, there's a few people who have done that on the planet. You guys have met them probably. You'll run into them. Sometimes they're on plant medicine or some kind of drugs, but they really believe they're not of this world, right? Have you guys met them? Alastair, I'm sure you've met people like that.
Yeah, I don't really have too much time for those folks.
Okay. Well, what they do when they go, and I'm glad you said that, and I'll tell you why. Once you go into alien, you'll discover something very interesting. You start to see where you separate yourself from humans. I'm better than humans. I'm an alien. That's like yawn, like super exhausting. So you're talking to somebody who thinks they're an alien. They feel superior and separate from you, or you are thinking you're an alien only. Not human, just alien. You happen to be in this body bag. You make fun of everything, earthy. There are sub-stories, many that exist in this dimension of creation, where you will actually say, and I have said this, and others have said this to me. They have said, the reason why you are stepping into your alien is because, number one, you are one. Number two, the reason why you are looking down on the earth is not only are you more advanced, but also because there are certain species like Anunnaki and different species that have no respect and looked very down on earth as being super archaic. And so they tend to take over like a walk-in, or they step into the human body and they kind of do a joyride, and they convince you that this planet is unworthy of your time. So this is a very prevalent story. If you haven't heard this story, you go online, you will see it everywhere. So people actually believe when you get to this juncture that you are being manipulated at the highest level by aliens. So you're going into, go ahead.
I just think that, like, I'm listening to all of this and I'm kind of like a kettle boiling up here. I feel like I need to release some
I'm almost
steam.
done, because what's left? What's after alien? Then you have...
At what point in any of this are people taking responsibility for their own lives?
Absolutely nowhere yet. Nowhere. That doesn't happen yet. You want to know why? Because no one is interested in self-creation. They're just interested in the storytelling. They're interested in creating scenarios and players and avatars that they can play and hide, kind of, because you don't have to take responsibility.
Take my keys, take it, drive my life, come into my house, live in my life, do my shit.
Now, I will talk about the innocence to this because I had to do this path to understand it. So here's what happens next. So once you go alien, then you decide, you know what, being an alien, straight up alien, is not fun because it's kind of hostile. So how about I go into an actual species, right? Now this is where things start to get smoother. When you start to decide, am I Palladian? Am I Arcturian? Am I Syrian? What, where am I from? Let me look at my chart. So what happens is everything starts to get softer. Obviously, you start raising your vibration and you're going into less judgment. So now you're going into, we're all here together. We're here as a community, as a planetary system. We've all agreed to this. And I'm Palladian and Alastair's Arcturian, and we're all...
Please don't mention, stop. Yeah, just cut that out. I don't like to refer to my Arcturians publicly, if that's okay.
Okay. So I'm Palladian, and everybody has, people are starting to find out what their like planetary home planet is, like their, what do I call it? Starseed lineage. So that's where I started my Facebook group, United Starseed Connection. I am the founder. Alastair is one of my only admin and co-host. But inside of this, I started to notice the innocence of people realizing, or I started to realize the innocence of people not knowing there's other options outside of being a species. There's an innocence where people are like, just tell me what I am. If you could just tell me what I am, it's going to explain a lot. Now, on one side, yeah, I mean, it's like getting an astrology reading. You got to get some information and understand some characteristics and get to know yourself a little bit better. Okay, so it gives you some foundation and grounding for a second, like gives you some information. But here's the problem. We're not there. We're on Earth. So then you have to make peace with Earth again. So we're back to this heavy 3D dimension. And then everybody starts talking about, well, what dimension are we going to go into? We got to get out of this one. This one sucks. Let's go into the 5th and 6th and 10th. And what dimension are we going to go into? And let's talk dimensions. First of all, I wish I could just do this blast on the internet that's just going to like annihilate everybody that says, hello, there's millions upon millions of dimensions that are constantly layered, and every single time you create a new construct, a new consciousness with other people, a collective consciousness, you're creating a new dimension. So no, there's not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 dimensions in such a massive universal complex such as our existence. No, there's not just 10 dimensions or 12. There's millions. So when everybody's saying this 3rd dimension sucks, can't wait to go to the 5th. When are we going to go to the 5th? Oh, we got to get to the 10th. Fuck it. Fuck all the dimensions. I hate this conversation. It pisses me off. I want to tell everybody to go to hell. Why? Because I know what they're trying to do inside. They're trying to justify their actions. And they're trying to say, this place sucks. Quote unquote, not taking responsibility for your life. Second, okay, so this place sucks. So now I'm going to go into the 3rd, 4th, 5th. I'm going to raise my vibration and it will be better. Oh yeah? You're going to have more conversations of separation. You're going to have more conversations of judgment. Guarantee it. Prove me wrong. So fuck dimension conversations. I want to put a big meme that says in big letters, fuck dimension conversations. Unless you know how to talk about dimensions, keep your mouth shut. Nobody knows how to talk about dimensions on this planet unless you have actually constructed one. So next, here's where I'm going. So then you say, whoa, this is heavy duty creation construction. I must be an architect. I must be a designer. Who am I that I'm creating and going to the level of my species, my home planet as a starseed? Who am I? I must be a hot shot. Right, Alastair? You know what I'm talking about. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that I've got so much to say because I feel
I'm done in 1 minute. I'll just finish up with the angels and you
it's
can
like
let
20
it rip.
minutes. Like,
I know. You're going to let it rip. You're going to let it rip. So here's where angelic realm comes in. So now after you just did that, guess what happens? You want to become holy. You want to know why? Because all of a sudden you have compassion for people. You start to feel better. Your vibration goes higher. You start to come back down to the earth, and then you call yourself an earth angel. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with being an earth angel? You go and help people. You take care of people. You communicate. You share guidance and technology. What's wrong with that? Now, here's the problem. As soon as you tell somebody I'm an angel, what happens? Oh, you're separate from me. Why? How come you're not an angel too? How about we're all angels? Then people say, why do you have to label? So then I say, oh, so there's another layer above angels where there's just oneness, where nobody separates themselves from each other. And that is where I'm talking to all of you from. So this is called the stages that I have been through to understand how to communicate And I trigger people all the time because I'm not allowed to have these conversations. And Alastair, you can take it away now.
I think the main thing is it's all just, you know, I mean, everyone's journey is different, but the issue is it's all bullshit, because all I'm hearing is, I mean, for one, I've always said burn your gurus, because to me the guru is a symbol of the loss of the West's connection with true spirituality. So they take advantage of that, come in underneath.
And don't real gurus tell you not to be a guru?
No, fuck gurus. Like gurus, they're all charlatans. 99% load of bullshit. Fuck off. And then this whole kind of like, you know, oh, what planet am I from? We're from Earth. This is carbon-based matter. People are forgetting that this is a decision that has been made to come and have this life and learn in the body that you have, the family that you were born into, the life that you were going to lead to certain degrees. It's like, think of it as an overall arc to it, but you can choose the route. Certain things are still going to come up and happen. This are your lessons.
Right.
But all I'm hearing is escapism and bullshit. And the problem is people... Hang on a minute. Like, people don't choose. They collect. They hoard all of these different ideas. They're never satisfied. This is why Bin Man, who gets up at 3:30 in the morning to clean people's trash and does it, is more enlightened than half of these people that you're seeing on the internet or Instagram. They have got more respect for the harmony of the earth and life, and they're performing a valid service to society than sitting around blowing smoke out of our own asses because we want to pretend that we're better than everyone else,
right,
when the fact remains that all of this serves the one purpose: to not take responsibility for your own life.
Right.
And I saw someone being like, well, how can I know if this is a truth? If something's come from a human, I can't believe it. This is a classic example of this woo-woo fucking Stevie Nicks gone wrong bullshit that is permeating so much thinking that frustrates me, man. Like, it really frustrates me, because for me, it's all about the bridge between the metaphysical and the rational, and inhabiting that space in the middle, because then you're bringing the two things together, the two audiences together, and you're giving each other access to material that otherwise they might not have. And the key thing is the responsibility. And if they're not going to take responsibility, like you say, people get triggered. Fuck triggers. Trigger everyone all at once. It will do them the world of good.
Yeah,
and I say that as a qualified teacher who had to have trigger warnings on certain lessons. And I said, yeah, there's going to be stuff here that's going to make you think. And if you don't want to be a part of this class, go. But I'm not going to say, oh, no, we have the trigger warning now.
Yeah,
because
I know.
All of this stuff is a counter-intention coming up from your subconscious mind. And if you want to ignore it, if you want to bypass it, if you want to pretend that it's not there, you're going to go through this life with the development of a child.
Right.
You know, you can be as book smart as you want, but if you're not book smart and street smart and compassionate and self-aware, understand what your inner workings are, you can go around calling yourself Jesus and you're still a dickhead.
That's
you know,
correct. It's correct.
Responsibility. All this is escapism, and like, you know, the stuff that we would talk about in private, I don't necessarily talk about in public, because I am aware that I am in the world. I am basing my engagement with the world on harder based things, so more kind of like a fact, logic, reason, philosophy, but it is informed by a whole broad range of stuff that, you know, people might not necessarily give themselves access to. because they could say it's still out there, but as far as I'm concerned, it's just wisdom.
Right.
We talk about Pleiadian ideas. Those ideas could have come from someone on anywhere. What's important to me is the wisdom that comes, that the wisdom that's of that brand of coffee that you like, because it's still fundamentally coffee,
Right.
but it has a certain flavor to it. To me, that's how I view all of this. We talked about like Arcturian wisdom, Orion wisdom, that all of these different places. To me, it doesn't matter because they're just ideas in some respect. Because if we go too far into them, then we end up forgetting about the humanity, and the humanity, the world of free will, the world of effect, but the duality, all of these things that we need to really work with. Why we're here, that's the whole purpose of this school. And you'll see in any sort of wisdom lineage or religion or anything like that, there's always this thread about learning through this life, growing through this life, and moving towards some kind of higher state of development. If people want to live their lives in a marshmallow cloud where they don't get triggered, they don't make any concrete decisions about anything, they don't understand that all of this stuff is just spices on a shelf, that you're going to be the one who cooks with it, then they've missed the goddamn point.
Right.
Because they're not taking responsibility for themselves. They're not making effort to learn their inner workings. If you're playing poker, you get given 5 cards, you can give back 3, you've still got 2. And even then, the other 3 you get back, it's at random. So you've still got to like work with parameters here. And if we want to sit around like looking at memes and crying because we want to go home, newsflash, it's lockdown, we're already all at home. You know?
Right.
Why are people doing this to themselves? It bends my brain, but then I'd be out of the job.
There's a lot of whiners and criers, just whining and crying. Whining and crying, whining and crying, whining and crying. I want my mommy. I want my mommy. Okay, if you want your mommy, then go find people who are mothers and fathers. I consider myself a mother. Alastair's clearly a father. So find your teachers. Find people who can mother you and father you and give you advice and tell you how to eat your food and tell you how to put your clothes on and tell you how to take care of yourself. I hope you're laughing at this. If you're not laughing and you're triggered, you're one of the kids.
I remember when you said, when we were having the conversations about administering the group, and I was like, oh, I don't know, I'm a bit wary because I know that my style is a bit more stern and I'm a bit more kind of...
Well, you're the father.
I like to poke fun at things as well because of the absurdity of everything. You know, like we were saying the other week about how having a sense of humour is so important. This is why it's important, because otherwise you get bogged down with all these isms and ists and this and that and the other and the polarity and pulling
labels.
Yeah, and we forget about the core essence that exists in all of us, that is got nothing to do with religion, nationality, skin colour, sexuality, political views. All of these things we can accept. We should be able to accept each other as one on that level, but instead we're like 4, 5, 6, 7 levels down there because we can't agree on things anymore. We can't agree that we disagree about certain things because we don't want to frantically let go of these pillars that we're hanging on to, even when the pillars are collapsing.
It's because there's lack of information. They have no other resources to draw from because there's lack of information. But then there's people like us who are offering information. Like when you're done talking, I want to talk about labels.
If all of the information is there in terms of like this idea of God, what was it? I can't remember which group it was, but there's a group that believes that all of the knowledge exists in the air, and it's about accessing it, and we kind of tune our consciousness to that. We could take a more literal view of that and say now with the internet, for better or worse, we have access to a lot of information. We also have access to a lot of things masquerading as information
Yes.
that form those echo chambers that kept people fed on an endless stream of bollocks to support their own prejudices because they can't take responsibility for their own lives as the world changes around them. And they think it's all some great conspiracy and everyone that disagrees with them is wrong. Change is the constant of life. And if you're hitching your flag to that mast that is the oppositional one, the self-righteous one, that I'm right, you're wrong, if you disagree with me, you support these terrible evils, those people are fucked. Like, there is no hope for them at all, because let's think about it this way. Certain dates have been set in people making predictions that are tied to certain events, which, you know, in the physical world and in the metaphysical world, and in the ones that straddle the two.
Right.
What's going to happen when those dates come to pass? And, you know, nothing really changes.
Nothing's going to change.
Like when you had the equinox in 2012, a bunch of us felt it. We felt something had changed. It wasn't like, oh my God, like, you know, rocks are rising out of the ocean, the planet's flipping around. People are doing it again. And I say to them, the universe speaks in whispers, and if you're not going to shut up, you ain't going to hear the message. So everyone complaining about, I'm not going to wear a muzzle, maybe you should, literally and figuratively, because I'm frustrated to the point where I've retrained as a coach from a musician so I can legitimately call myself a wisdom teacher, but be out there in the world talking to the people who are in the positions of power and influence in the smaller spheres and the bigger spheres, because this whole kind of idea of just being so sanctimonious and self-righteous that you've got this idea of the world and how it should be, is just more escapism, like these levels that you're talking about.
And it's belief in separatism. It's not oneness. Those are not oneness connotations. What vibration is that?
If oneness is the truth, if oneness is the truth of which everything is a fragmentation of, it's like, where do we go from there? You know, the idea that we're all the same but we're different. I shared a meme in the group the other day. It was like there's someone under the ground poking their fingers up with loads of different faces on it. It said, the universe, the universe, the universe. Think about it. We're all just different expressions of this source self. And if it's an infinite self, there's infinite expressions. And the idea that people get, well, if I'm you and you are me, everything's all and we can float around with zero accountability, messing each other's lives up and heads up.
Oh my God.
You know,
what? You're good? Can I jump in?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah, I just thought maybe I should just kind of do a Borat style thing and do myself up as a guru.
Oh, we should.
And go into these communities and be all, you know, have some kind of hidden camera thing. You know,
should. That would be really incredible. Well, I want to give a little teaching course,
cool.
a metaphysical teaching course on labels and vibration. So I'm just going to get a little taste of it. It's not a long class, but I would like to educate some people because I know this is an area a lot of people don't talk about. So I want to give the information that I have. So when you label something, so like Palladian, angel, alien, Arcturian, Anunnaki, reptilian, guru, saint, every single human being on this planet has a different connotation and definition of what that is. Now, inside of that, being that's a label, inside of that, there's a construct. An angel is this. An alien is this. And that's just the way our human brain works. We create the story, and there's a border and a structure, and that's our story. It's like a brick. Okay, so it's complete. Here's the upgrade. Each one of these stories contain a vibration. So when you tap in to a story that suits you for the time being, let's say it's finding out that you're from Orion. So now that storyline has a beginning, middle, and end of how you feel about being from Orion. Now, inside of that, there's a vibration that you hold. It's your story. You receive information from different sources. You calculate, put together your construct of that story, and that's held together by your beliefs that that's what it is. Then, because it's like an absolutist, and then you notice your vibration changes. So people who are seekers on the path want to have the highest vibration. So you eventually end up to the angelic realm, and you pass the whole idea of Archangel Michael's. You pass the realm of religion and how angels are seen in religion. You keep going until you see forces that are benevolent and loving and move energy. But then after you go there and you really like that, you know you're an angel, so you feel good about that. You have labels, definitions, constructs, that has a vibration. You find other angels that are out. Then you talk to them. One thing you'll notice is this. Once you get to this stage where you know you're an angel, that's how you feel. Your vibration feels that way. Everything feels that way, but you're here in the human. Then you realize something really massive. Inside of this realm, this angelic realm, this vibration, if you go into it, which means you're going inward, not outward, you're going inward. As you're going into the story of angel, you'll discover source. When you discover source, you discover I am. And then you discover communication is key number one to evolution. Even the plant kingdom communicates. So once you get to these stages and you go past these constructs, keep going, you'll find only energy. But inside of that, there's I am. So that I am tells you, oh, I am. And I might want to help somebody else find this freedom. Therefore, I communicate. So as soon as you learn to articulate and teach this, you'll start to see how people don't want to hear what you're going to teach. So my personal life history as a shaman wisdom teacher is my job basically triggers the shit out of everyone. I have one of the hardest jobs that you can have. I get constantly attacked and constantly beat up. But because I chose that path, I was prepared for it from a lifetime of domestic violence, etc., so I can handle it. I understand that it is not kosher and it is not appropriate in some circles that little old me from Southern California, white girl with a braid, is not allowed to talk at this level of sanity, creation, freedom, certainty, and sanity. And that is not allowed on this planet. We're not there yet. I'm not allowed to be that free. I can't just say I am. I can't say anything because it doesn't fit into your constructs, your beliefs, your ideals. That's not how angels look. That's not how you find an angel. That's not how you find an alien. That's not how you find Palladian. Well, then teach it. Yes.
If people were to go by the Old Testament descriptions of angels, you're kind of talking more like DMT style entities.
Like the wings and all that?
No, like those big, like, you know.
Oh,
like
the multi-colorful crackles of
shit.
energy.
Yeah, and really like kind of formless shifting. Because I think
I've seen those.
The sexualization of angels and other races, it has to stop. because again, it's another form of escapism,
100%.
and then hangs your idea of that to a certain construct. So you
And
can't...
I have to point out that there's an innocence because you think you just want to relate. So they're white, they're black, they're Hispanic.
Hang on a second. I was in the middle of something there, like, because it's, you know, if you're hanging your idea of a certain construct to something, if it shows up and looks like something else, you're not going to accept it.
Right.
It's like all these folks waiting around for the second coming, like they've missed it, you know, because it's actually in there of them, and that's not where they're looking, because that's not what it looks like
exactly
to them.
Because it's outside of them.
Yeah, no, it would require them to take responsibility.
Yeah.
That's I'm going to keep coming back to that.
It's true, and that's why you get triggered. Because that's the last thing people want to do, is own themselves.
They don't want to. It's not the rest of the world's responsibility to tiptoe around. It's like, you know, it's the great paradox of we in the UK with our conservative politicians. They do all kinds of shit the entire time, and then the minute someone criticizes them, they've got the thinnest skin. They've got the thinnest skin.
Right.
It's unbelievable. You know, they go on about free speech and all of this kind of crap, but they don't like it when it's actually free speech, because it would mean having to be accountable for the decisions that they have made or the lineage of their decisions.
Right.
And again, you know, if we don't accept the responsibility, we don't get anywhere. Nowhere whatsoever. Nothing. People seem to, people are obsessed with the fifth dimension, and they seem to forget that to get to 5, you have to add 2 to 3. You don't take 3 away.
But do you understand that is 1 out of tons of dimensions?
Oh yeah. I mean, the way I see it is, I think of it kind of like, you know, the computer game consoles. So you'd have the 8-bit, the 16-bit, 32, 64, 128, da, 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 da. To me, that's how I view it, is it's just more depth. More
data. That's right.
Yeah,
you have to be able to hear it. So people who are listening to this show right now, and they can hear all this, and they're like, yeah, this is great. I totally get it. Nothing's off or weird. It's not trigger prone. I feel great. By the way, those of you who do feel that way, please comment below so other people can see that you exist. We're like unicorns, okay? So at least announce your presence by saying, yes, I agree, I got this. Because this is the conversation. This is a conversation of freedom. And this kind of conversation needs to be prevalent on this planet right now. And that's why we're coming in strong right now. Because why are we letting the kids run the class? And those of you who are teachers and those of you who are teaching should know this by now. So if you're quiet sitting there behind your computer screen and not doing anything about this, if I were you, go take a bath, drink a hot tea, and get yourself together. There's people out there that need these cleanup conversations. And he's right about
this. This is why I quit the Montessori school, because it doesn't work in practice. In theory, it's a great idea, but the thing with kids, you've got to hold their hand, you know, metaphorically, you know, not literally.
What about if the universe is holding our hand? What about if we're supported by our own higher selves, our own constructs? What about if love is our support and holding our hand? What about if everybody believed in that?
People aren't ready for that level of accountability. Right. Because they still put their faith in the church, religious leaders,
things
politics,
outside of themselves.
Political leaders.
Right.
They still go, no. You're going to save us from what? Like, we're ignoring the important stuff, like, you know, the climate and these kind of things. I care about this stuff. My generation, you know, people like to give millennials shit, which is hilarious, because it's like the boomers doing it, and the boomers are the most entitled, thin-skinned generation to walk this earth. And they like,
well, they're moving on out. They're moving on out, so they're making more room for a fresh. Well, they called
COVID. I remember when COVID started, and they called it the boomer remover. And
that's sad. Okay.
Yeah, that's a bit too
Look,
savage. But my point is this.
But let me just clear it for those audience members of ours that are older than us. There's people that we know that are younger than us, and they're 15 years old right now, that will be having this conversation about us. So we're super clear. So don't think we're just pointing you guys out.
And it is the same regard that when we talk about the issue of sexual assault, some people might say not all men are rapists. That's true, but it's not the point. Not all boomers are asses. Some of them are pretty cool. A lot of them are. Yep. It's just the decisions that have been made have not exactly been very forward thinking, and we're the ones that have to clean up the mess. So forgive us for having eyes, ears, and a brain.
You know, here's the benefit of cleaning up the mess. I loved your analogy of the trash man. That was so good. I love that. For hours and hours I could talk about the beauty of that statement. So in a sense, he doesn't feel he has to clean up the trash. He feels he gets to clean up the trash, and he's grateful for the job, and he's grateful for what he can provide for his family. So there is a place within myself where I do feel very grateful that I get to upgrade my own communication and articulation abilities and learn how to be forward moving and peaceful by being in these positions that feel like trash pickup, but actually what it is teaching other people how to clean up their mess. So I'm not really cleaning up their mess. I'm teaching them how to clean up their own mess, because somebody had to do that for me and teach me how to clean up my own mess. And, you know, this is the part where, you know, it's humility. There's humility involved. This is where we clean each other's asses.
If we're all one and expressions of the same source, we're 100% responsible for everything that happens everywhere at any time. And the only thing we can do is work on cleaning and clearing the beliefs in ourselves that have created that situation or circumstance. Because if you want to think that the world's going to hell, you're going to see evidence of that.
Yeah, you'll see hell
wherever you look.
Yeah, you'll be in your own personal hell. That's for sure.
If you want to think that the world is changing, you're going to see evidence of that everywhere. If you want to think the world's amazing as it is, you're going to see evidence of that everywhere. Right. The point is it's like the whole thing's a Venn diagram. And we're not,
you know, the concept that we're creating our reality through our eyes, right? There's a very deep studies in this area where there's some people have tried to prove that.
I didn't know that.
But I don't know, because there's people that are blind, you know.
What I was trying to say was that we have to see it like a Venn diagram, and there's a bit in the middle that everyone's going to overlap a bit in, some more than others. Sometimes it might just be the lines of the circle touch, but there's still that contact. And I think as things get more divisive than ever, at the end of the day, you're just going to end up being a divided being. And if you're divided in yourself, you cannot stand, to quote George Costanza there.
He's my official first guru that I ever had.
With do the opposite.
Yep, saved my life. That was, look, I was reaching for information. That was the lowest hanging fruit, and it got through to me. And that was the beginning of my spiritual revolution, was when I heard Costanza said, if your life sucks and everything doesn't work, then at least logic would tell you do the exact opposite and it should work.
Well,
so I did.
This is another thing that's interesting when you're talking about the levels, and people get all this kind of sanctimonious spirituality, is that they take for granted that there is wisdom in everything.
That's right.
So like we're saying about Seinfeld, you know, there's some great ideas that have come from there, because that is something that is based on a interpretation, distortion and resynthesization of reality.
Yeah.
All of the stuff in that show is probably based on something that had happened and then is amplified to make it funny. And if you've got someone who's a self-styled guru, maybe they've gone and done ayahuasca once, and then suddenly they're painting their face and wearing harem pants and
right.
whatever. they aren't going to take seriously the fact that you can become enlightened from reading comic books, you can become enlightened from playing a video game, you can become enlightened just by sitting in a room with nothing around you, something comes to you.
It's true.
They think that it all has to be in a certain way. They think that spirituality looks a certain way. They think the idea of entertaining the galactic ideas looks in a certain way. It's all just knowledge. It's all vibration. It's all frequency. If you're down the bottom of the ladder in the fear, the anger, the jealousy, the hate, envy, egotism, you're not going to get up to the top, which is the creativity, the compassion, the consideration, the openness, the high level. Because your own ego is going to say, well, you know, I've got a guru, and my guru says that this is not spiritual. Look at that twat Osho. Someone should, if I was a time traveler, I'd go back and set fire to him.
A lot of people feel that way.
Well, yeah, because he is the perfect example of the exploitation of the West's lack of connection with spirit and his own bullshit not being integrated, so he projects it out onto other people so he can play out his little micro dick fantasies, you know? Like, I hate that stuff.
Since we're slamming gurus right now, this is the part of the game that we get to slam gurus. I have a guru to slam. And I'm not allowed to slam her, because if I do, I might go to whatever kind of hell construct somebody's made for me. However, I'm going to slam right now. Her name is Amma, the hugger, the kisser. Do you know who she is? The Indian.
I do actually, yeah.
Indian guru goes around and gives hugs and gives people a kiss on the cheek. Instead,
as we say in the UK, what's your beef?
Yeah. Well, instead of a kiss and a hug, Amma should do a nice little slap on your face. Wake you up. So Amma, hugging everybody, there's one thing called compassion. There's another thing called coddling. And another thing called blowing smoke up your ass. So people going to see Amma come back with zero change, except some lady who has hugged 14,000 million people has hugged them too. And therefore that makes her a guru, because they feel something very special. Wow.
Do you think it might be appropriate to call her something else other than a guru? Because maybe she's more of a comforter.
Yeah, call her a free hug lady.
Because sometimes, you know, you do need a hug.
Free hug ladies are awesome. Free hug people are awesome. I personally love, my chest is a little too big. I feel intimidated, but I would like to be a free hug lady. I would like to stand out there with a sign and be a free hug person. I love people who do that. Those are gurus, if you want to call it that. Then what's the difference? Why does she get carted around by an entourage and fly all around the world, and people put red petals on her feet? For what?
She literally just hugs, that's it.
That's all she does, is she gives you a hug and a kiss on the cheek, and that's it. The hugger. She's just...
I don't get it.
Well, they have her at levels of Osho and beyond, and it's so ridiculous, especially in Southern California with the spiritual community here. They love to smoke a lot of things. And so they get so hyped up on this. It's just such a big deal. I went to go see Amma today. It was so special.
I feel like
you can't hug your own kids. You can't hug your own parents.
Yeah, I feel like I should come over there and do like a bunch of talks or something and inject some reality into people.
That's a must. You have to dress up as a spiritual person so they'll let you in their cults. And then you can go in there, because there's like kirtans and like yoga studio type events. You have to look a certain way. If you have makeup, you are in trouble. So you don't have anything to worry about. But if you're a woman and you have makeup, you won't be allowed in these communities.
I tend to, when I'm giving talks, I tend to dress all in grey because, you know, it's... I think that would work there.
You know what would really work? Wear yoga pants and beads and a tank top that has like a sacred geometry symbol, and put some yang, I think that's what it's called, the essential oil, put that all over you, and make sure you have some botanical oily moisturizer so your skin has an extra oily glow, and be drinking something crazy like brown with herbs in it. That you should have.
My own piss, maybe.
Yeah, that's right.
Mm. The thing is, though, all the stuff you've mentioned, I like all of that stuff.
Yeah,
know?
but they think that's going to get them somewhere. Because it's conscious. Because it's conscious to wear hemp, and it's conscious to wear this, and it's conscious to wear. It's conscious to drive your car. Your car is made of plastic and metal and oil from dinosaurs.
You know what? Like, if we were that conscious, the best thing we could do from the planet is just commit mass suicide.
Okay, wait. Alastair's losing. Okay, no, don't give up on us that quick, Alastair.
No, but it's true. It's true. If you think about it.
No, I don't want mass suicide.
The thing that this is like this. And just hear me out here, because I'm not actually suggesting that we do that.
Okay, good. Because some people
might if we get so hung up on everything and everything in the world and all, it just gets right the way to us, and we want to live as ethically as possible. We want zero carbon footprint. We don't want to have any animal products. We don't want to have any carbon. We don't want to be pollution. We don't want to buy things that are exploiting people. Just
but wait,
do it.
Wait, are they online protesting this?
No, this is the.
Are the people that you're talking about? Do they go online and protest this on the internet?
Protest what?
Whatever you're talking about, like the conscious, eco-friendly.
Yeah.
They do that, right? Okay, I have a question for you, Alastair. If they're online doing this, what system of communication are they using? It should be a laptop, iPad, or something of that sort. So inside of their contraption of what they're using to communicate about all these things, there's plastic, metal, there's landfills that are filled with electronics.
Let's not forget cobalt, which is most likely mined by children in Africa, and lithium in the batteries, which is becoming one of the source of the great resource wars. So, it's this very bizarre idea of trying to be conscious, and you actually kind of end up going like the other way.
It backfires on you. So yeah. It's just more separatism, more judgment. My recommendation for people who go, well, what do you want to do about this? Hey, you could volunteer and pick up trash at the beach. You could do something about the landfills. You could do all these things. You could make your mark. You could lower the carbon footprint. We are not saying to not do that. We're not saying to not do whatever we can to have less emissions so we have a better air quality and close the ozone. We're not saying any of that. What we're saying is the mindset, the behavior of what that higher than thou, like judgment, Nazi type of vegan type of.
Oh, you used the N word.
And I also used the V word. I said vegan.
Vegan. Hey, don't be mean about vegans.
Out here in Southern California, if you're vegan, they have their own place where they reside, and they do not talk to the rest of us. I don't know how it is there, but out here, you're not allowed to talk to a vegan. They'll tolerate you, but they really do not want to discuss anything with you because you are a heathen. You are bad because you are not vegan.
Well, I mean,
is it like that there?
No, my partner's vegan. Yeah, she's vegan.
No, but vegan. Is it like, do they act that way there? Do Londoners act that way?
It depends if you want to spend your time entertaining people who haven't integrated their own traumas, so they cling so viciously to a pillar that they do have control over. This is a psychological field day in that, people who cling so dearly to something, like, you were saying about the different narratives, the different levels of stuff that's happened, and all of these other ideas. Oh, I'm this, I'm that. All it is, it's the same with this kind of militant veganism. All it is they've not integrated some of their own inner stuff. They're not taking responsibility for their inner stuff. So it's now coming out through this narrative. It's now because I've got control over this and I didn't have control over that. And if I have control over this, it somehow negates that. It doesn't. It doesn't at all. And, you know, I'm not vegan. I would love to be. That would be great. I find it very hard. I try and make better choices. But I don't give other people crap about their life choices. I'll give someone crap about their life choices if it's hurting people, hurting themselves, exploiting people. You know, I'll give people crap about their life choices if they want to pretend they're enlightened and then they spend the rest of their time sharing memes about how people that have different political views are idiots.
Right.
You know, I'm not going to apologize for that, you know, because that's them making other people wrong. And I want to say, hey, what's with that? You see this finger that's pointing out? There's 3 of them pointing back at me. The same goes for anyone else pointing their fingers at others.
It's true.
Because if we get hooked into that, then the window of discussion, of dialogue between the different aspects, that circle in the middle of the Venn diagram, gets smaller and ultimately closes. And then what do we have? We certainly don't have oneness. We don't have a path to oneness, that's for sure. Not one that includes everyone, and it should include everyone. You know, we just need to get over our own stuff. Bring it in, don't push it to the side, just bring it in. Look at it. The uglier, the better, because you've got more potential for transformation and power that can come up through that, and being really realized beings. And the more stuff that we have to work through means the bigger the prospect we've got of making that quantum leap into just the great beyond of multi-dimensional lifestyle and having all of these wonderful experiences that some people could call psychic or transcendental. That's just natural abilities reactivating because we're remembering. If we choose to hook into all of these other narratives, then we're not giving ourselves a chance to remember. And if we don't remember, we don't learn, and we come back and do it all again, however many times.
Well, you guys, you just heard a lullaby from the Father. Thank you.
Sorry, I've been quite stern today, I think. I've been quite...
No, this is good. We had to get the class in order, and it needed to happen. There's a lot of really chicken with the head cut off type of behavior going on right now. So somebody has to stand up and speak. But I appreciate everything you're saying. I agree 100%, of course. And I think this is a good place to end. And I just want to tell everybody, well, I just feel the energy is very soft and wonderful. We're putting everybody back down into their little, into their little area. I don't want to give it a name.
Let's not leave them hanging, I guess. That's kind of...
It's like, yeah, bringing you softly down. And we want to say that we say this in love. Everything we're saying is in love, because we want to see growth and everybody have their fullest potential realized. We want everybody to enjoy their life to the fullest. If you have one person doing that and pass that on, imagine 7 billion people doing that. So I just want to thank everybody for hanging in there with us if you stayed through the show to the end. And we will come back next week, and we never know what we're going to talk about. It's whatever we feel at the moment. Is there anything you would like to say before you go, Alastair?
Yeah, everything that I've said and think and feel and believe is driven by the expressed desire for everyone to take responsibility, 100% responsibility for everything that they experience, see, feel, think, and put into the world and consume from the world and accept as the truth or accept as a lie. Take responsibility of that, because then and only then will you become realized. And that's all that I want for everyone, is for them to just to be to be realized, and whatever that means, you know. And if I go to places that maybe you don't understand or don't agree with, that's fine. It doesn't matter, because the message is about realization, and maybe there's other teachers out there that have a message of realization that you resonate with more personally. I can only speak from my perspective, as I am just that one aspect of the infinite expressions.
That's correct. Very well said. Love you, Alastair. Love you, everyone. Namaste, and we will see you next week.